Today we're focusing on masculine cards, and I'm going to make 4 cards for my AECP level 2 assessment. Hey Crafty people, it's Tasha, welcome back to my channel. If you're not already subscribed, then I'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button below, it'd mean the world to me. So what I'm going to do is jump around showing you a few different techniques, a few things that I made, and then at the end I'll show you the cards that I put together from them. So we're starting off with some embossing this background piece. I've got quite a lot of videos and things about embossing and how to, so I'm not going to go into that too much at the moment, but if you are unsure, then there's plenty of other videos and blog posts on that. So I embossed this whole background panel on a piece of watercolour paper because I want to do some emboss resist with watercolour, but I'm actually going to use the Altenew mini ink cubes. I've used the Tranquility collection throughout all of my cards today because it's new to me. I love it, and I think that it's quite a good choice for masculine cards. So I'm showing you a few different ways that you can use those ink cubes to get a background. You can smoosh them with packaging, whether you pick the ink up from your mat on the packaging or you put the ink straight onto the packaging, and it's just important that you spritz the ink to get that moving, but also spritz the paper as well, or you know, drop some water into the paper, so that's just going to help it move better. Then I also have just put a little bit of the ink straight onto my glass mat, spritz that to again get it all moving, and then just used a paintbrush to just dab it in randomly, and then also I do some flicking onto it, and so there's a few different ways that you can watercolour for a background. Then next I am going to make a sentiment for that card. Now I really wanted a sentiment that matched the colours that I'd gone with, again the Tranquility collection, but I wanted it on vellum, and normally dye inks and vellum do not mix well, but I sort of thought, what if can I get the embossing powder on there quick enough that it will hold it? And after a few practices, a little bit of trial and error, I did, and I love it. I think it's amazing. I really like how it turned out, and because the dye ink moves slightly on the vellum because it's non-porous, like a lot of the colour sort of settled to one side of the letters, so it actually makes it look like it's double stamped with, you know, a lighter and a darker, which it isn't. So that was real. I really was really happy with that. So moving on to the next card, I've ink blended that panel, just sped that up massively just so you could see it. Now at the end of that blending you could see that it did look a little bit patchy. That's because it's dye ink and it needs you just need to give it a little bit of time to settle, because as you can see from there, it's a beautiful, perfectly smooth blend. I'm really happy with. So I put double-sided tape on, like a double-sided tape sheet, onto the back of that panel, and then die cut it with that, and die cut a second one with a black mirror card, and then I'm just piecing each of those pieces into the black one that I'm using for the outline. It takes a while, it's fiddly, but I think it's an amazing technique. It just looks brilliant when it's done. It's the die cut inlay technique, so you get a completely smooth panel, and you also get the questions from people on how did you do that. So I did one where it was just all ombre blending right the way, and then this one I used the negative from the ombre panel as my outline, and I added some of the black mirror pieces from the first one, and then I also die cut it from a white panel and used some of those as well to make just a little different pattern. So it's just another idea that you can use. As you can see, I'm struggling to get the pieces out. That's not the die at all, that's me, because really I needed to change my die cutting plate, but I was being a bit, I wanted to try and push it and and try and get these panels cut on it so that they weren't going to be cut into my brand new plate, but really I shouldn't have done that because it wasn't cutting properly, so that was my fault. Lesson learned. Then I'm going to stamp a couple of sentiments for those cards. Here you can see it's not completely smooth to start with, so I just double stamped it. That's the beauty of the Misty. I also wanted to show you that these inks, you can watercolour with them, ink blend with them, and stamp with them, and they're amazing for all of the above. So that's good. I'm going to make a focal point for one of my other cards. This is a layering set, so I used the layering guide that comes with all of them. It clearly shows you which stamps go where, which way round. Just need to be careful that you are checking that it is the right one and that it's the right way up. That's what you can see me doing here. Just checking the stamps that I've got against the layering guide on the back so that I knew that I was getting the right one. And then you just take it slow, just get it lined up, get right over it. To be honest, this stamp is really easy. It's a really great place to start if you're a little bit nervous or unsure with layering stamps. Something like this is the perfect thing to start with. So there's 4 stamps for this. The first 3 I was fine. On the 4th I actually stamped it wrong. It was my fault because I didn't check that my paper was right in the corner. I thought I had, but I hadn't. So the last stamp was off a little bit, but I kept that in because no one's perfect. We all make mistakes. Believe me, I make them. I make them a lot, but it's okay. It's fine. It's no problem. With this stamp, you can't really tell. I stamped it the first time and it's not quite in place, so I just shoved the paper back to where it should have been and re-stamped it without adding any more ink, just to put a little bit of colour on so it wasn't quite as stark white, the bits that I'd missed, and then that's fine. I used the third die cut background I used, but where some of the pieces hadn't fully come out of the thing, I wasn't bothered and I kept it like that because I like it. I just thought it was a bit interesting, gives a bit more texture to the background. As well, you can see there I'm using my Misty to line up the panels, and it just makes it so much easier. I'm not very good with lining panels up straight when you stick it down, which is awesome. Here I wanted to talk a little bit about those extra details, because I think that those are the things that take your cards from being good to great to fantastic to wow. So here I cut some envelopes. I just used my silhouette to cut the envelope shapes, and then I'm blending using all the same inks onto those envelopes. I'm also using a stencil, and I've done different things with the stencils. I tried to make each envelope a little bit different so you could see different methods of using the stencils, so I just stenciled straight over it. The second one I stenciled once and then shifted it slightly and went over again, so you get that double pattern. then I also blended straight onto the paper, just lightly, and then went over darker with the stencil, and then on that one I covered the whole thing. I did these little stamps from the envelope art set, again just those little things that take it up. And then this bit I left in because I want to say, sign your work. I didn't for such a long time because I thought I shouldn't, but do it. You should. Yeah, own it. You made that. Put your name on it. Be proud. So here we have all of the cards that I made for this this portion of the assessment. There is another part, second part to come. So first of all, we've got the one using the just plain white background, where I'd left some of the pieces in just for texture. I really like that. I stamped a sentiment over the rock, layered rock mosaic, I think it's called, a stone mosaic. Stamped a sentiment over that, and then I just popped that up on some more cardstock, and put that over the top. I like that, just clean and simple, and quite simple design. And there's the envelope to go with it. Then the second card, we have the patterned die cut inlay that I was making. With those, you're taking the time, and it does take a while, but it looks amazing, and you don't really need to do anything else. I just added a simple happy birthday sentiment, because the background is the main thing. And there's the envelope that I put with that. Then here we have the watercolor emboss resist background, with the dye ink embossed sentiment, vellum, sentiment on vellum. I embossed the rest of the sentiment on some black mirror cardstock, matted it, and then added that to card. I bubble cut around the shine sentiment, just cut it out following the shape of the letters. And then there's the envelope that I paired that one with, and here is the final card. That is the ombre ombre ink blended panel, die cut inlay technique, with the black mirror cardstock lined part of the die cut, and then I just embossed a sentiment to go on that, and added a few sparkling black onyx sequins, and there's the envelope that I have paired with that. So that's my 4 cards. I've got a lot more information about how I put together each one on my blog, so head over there to check that out if that's something that you're interested in. I've got all the links below, along with the all the supplies that I used to make these cards. And have a lovely week. Stay crafty. Bye.